You know, we are facing a silent pandemic. It's this invisible threat that could literally unwind a century of medical progress and make the world a much, much more dangerous place. Today, we're talking about the antibiotic apocalypse.
So, I want you to imagine this for a second. A kid scrapes their knee on the playground. It's just a simple cut, right? Nothing to worry about. But then, 3 days later, they're in the hospital. The infection is spreading, and the antibiotics, they just aren't working. Doctor after doctor tries a different drug, but nothing stops it. Suddenly, a simple playground injury has become a fight for their life. And look, this isn't some sci-fi movie plot. This is a future that is, believe it or not, already starting to happen.
Okay, so what exactly is this invisible threat we're up against? Let's dig into the core of this crisis, because it's something that's hiding in plain sight.
All right, the official term is antimicrobial resistance, or AMR for short. But what does that really mean? Well, simply put, it's evolution in hyperdrive. The very germs we've been fighting for decades, they're learning our playbook. They're adapting, they're evolving, and they're becoming resistant to our most powerful medicines. This is how we get those things you hear about in the news, superbugs.
And this is not a small problem. Not at all. Look at this number. By the year 2050, experts are predicting that AMR is going to cause 10 million deaths every single year. Now, to put that number into perspective for you, that's more people than currently die from cancer. So let that sink in. This isn't some distant, far-off threat. It's a looming catastrophe.
So you're probably asking, if it's that bad, why isn't this front-page news every single day? Well, the United Nations came up with a perfect way to describe it. They called it a slow-motion tsunami. Think about that. Unlike a sudden pandemic that just explodes onto the scene, AMR is this creeping disaster. Every year gets just a little bit worse than the one before it, and that's what makes it so incredibly dangerous. We don't feel that sense of urgency until it might actually be too late.
Okay, so how on earth did we get here? To really understand this crisis, we have to go back. We need to look at the history of one of medicine's absolute greatest miracles, and honestly, how we completely took it for granted.
It all started back in 1928 with the almost accidental discovery of penicillin. I mean, what a game changer. This kicked off what we now call the golden age of discovery. Right through the 40s, 50s, and 60s, we were finding new stuff all the time. But then, look what happens. The last truly new class of antibiotics was discovered way back in the 1980s. Since then, the innovation pipeline has run almost completely dry. We've just been tweaking the old drugs while the bacteria have been busy evolving right past them.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting and kind of shocking. Where are all these antibiotics actually going? You'd think sick people, right? Nope. A staggering 80% of antibiotics sold in the US aren't for us. They're used in livestock and agriculture. They're often given to perfectly healthy animals, either to make them grow faster or just to prevent diseases from spreading in those super crowded factory farms. And what you're doing there is creating the absolute perfect breeding ground for superbugs.
And here's the other massive piece of the puzzle. The economics are just broken. I mean, it costs over $1 billion to develop one new antibiotic. But think about it. If a company actually succeeds, what do doctors do? They do the right thing. They save that powerful new drug for the absolute last resort for the worst-case scenarios, which means it doesn't sell very well. It's just way more profitable to make a lifestyle drug that someone takes every day for years than it is to create a drug that could literally save humanity from untreatable infections. The business model has completely failed us here.
Okay, so this is the crucial part. What does all of this actually mean for you? Because this isn't just some abstract global problem. The failure of antibiotics threatens the very foundation of the medicine that you and your family rely on probably every single day.
And this slide just illustrates the stakes perfectly. Look at this. Today, a UTI is, an inconvenience. You get some pills, it goes away. In a world without effective antibiotics, that same infection could spread to your kidneys and cause lethal sepsis. What about strep throat? It goes from just being annoying to causing rheumatic fever, something that can permanently damage your heart. Even routine procedures like C-sections, they suddenly become a major risk to a new mother's life.
You have to understand, so much of modern medicine is built on one simple promise, that we can control infections. Think about it. Joint replacements, cancer chemotherapy, organ transplants, the incredible care we give to premature babies, even dialysis. All of these things, all of these miracles, they become incredibly dangerous, if not totally impossible, in a world where we can't rely on antibiotics. We are literally talking about setting medicine back 100 years.
Okay, I know that is the problem, and it is absolutely terrifying.
But the point of this isn't just to scare you, I promise. There are solutions. So let's pivot right now and talk about how we actually fight back against these superbugs.
So, on a big systemic level, we already have tools that we know work. We have antibiotic stewardship programs in hospitals to make sure we're using these precious drugs wisely. There are new rapid diagnostic tests that can figure out the right drug for the right bug super fast. And of course, the basics: aggressive infection prevention, hygiene, vaccination to stop infections before they even start. We're even exploring really cool alternatives like phage therapy. That's using viruses to kill bacteria. The point is, we have the strategies. We just need the collective will to implement them everywhere.
But look, you are not powerless in this fight. Not at all. There are things you can do. First, use antibiotics responsibly. Please, don't pressure your doctor for them if you have a virus, and if you are prescribed them, always finish the entire prescription. Second, just prevent infections. It sounds so simple, but it's so effective. Wash your hands, stay up to date on your vaccines. Third, think about your food choices. Reducing demand for factory-farmed meat can really help cut down on that agricultural overuse. And finally, number 4, spread the word. Talk about this issue, because public pressure is what drives real political action.
So, in the end, it all comes down to this one final thought. Bacteria have been evolving on this planet for 3.5 billion years. They are the ultimate survivors. For about 80 miraculous years, we had the upper hand. We had the magic bullet. But now, that advantage is slipping away. The question is no longer, will they adapt? We know they will. The real question is, will we?